Yo,
Yo,
yo.
E.
Yeah, so we're watching this full movie. Um, yeah, this could be long. This is gonna be a long reaction, bro. It's gonna be an hour and 30 minutes.
Nobody should be getting out of this alive, but you've just
yeah.
cheated death, and now it's coming back to finish the job.
Joseph
Everyone
cheated
around
death.
you is dying in the most gruesome and impossible ways because they can use anything to kill you, and you'll be next if you don't figure out how to stop it. But it's going to take everything you have to stop it. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and head to Final Destination 2.
What the fuck?
These two college never had a chance. Kimberly and her friends are going to Daytona for spring break with a bag full of
Oh shit, they're going to Joseph's house.
Lives. But as soon as they get on the highway, they
go to Joseph's house.
Now, none of them are looking for it, but they've been given plenty of fair warning that something bad is going to happen.
I would have shot that dude. I would have shot that dude, bro. I ain't even gonna lie.
Hell starts playing. Not a good omen to start a road trip. She sees her engine light turn on
Oh,
because
nice.
her car is leaking transmission fluids, but she ignores it. They pass a bus full of jocks chanting pile up, and they're all from the same school as the original survivors from the first movie. This guy next to them is chugging a beer, and then there's this kid slamming two toy cars against each other. Even for a kid, this is not normal behavior.
Okay, that looks wrong.
That's Joseph as a
there
kid.
are no coincidences. Okay, it
Yep.
might seem like something you typically ignore, but we need to be smarter than this if we want to survive this car ride. Because the concept of death hunting people down has been all over the news. They've all
Bro,
seen
last
it on
time we
TV
were on the
and heard it
highway,
on
we
the
were
radio.
behind a
It
truck
also
like
happens
that.
to be the 1-year anniversary
Oh,
of
hell
Bro,
yeah.
I've seen a lot
So
of
if I'm
clips,
seeing
but it
all this
wasn't like
new
on
stuff
our
going
thing,
on
but it was
around
in
me,
the
I'm not
opposite
shrugging it
thing.
off. I'm getting spooked right the f out and pulling the car over. But it's too late because things are about to get really ugly. In front of them, a
Things
police
are about
officer
to get
spills
really
coffee all
fucked
over
up.
his lap and is distracted as he
It's
sees
a bit
the
weird.
logs break out of their chains and fly out
Oh, fuck
onto the
no.
road. The cop looks up just in time to see how he dies, as his head is smashed through the back of the car. This is one of the most brutal deaths I've
been
ever
high as
seen,
fuck
and
in
it
that.
only gets worse. There's a massive
nah,
pile.
bro.
A motorcyclist falls and gets crushed by his own bike, and another driver's water bottle gets
Damn.
lodged under the brake pedal and gets wrecked by a garbage truck. Cars are exploding into absurdly massive fireballs, and the college students in the red SUV flip over. Kimberly here sees a man being burned alive and screaming for help, only to get run over by a semi-truck and is headed right for her next as it slams into the car and kills her instantly. But then she's back in the car with her friends like nothing ever happened. What the hell's going on?
Charleston White probably had
it's
something to
natural
do with that.
panic, but it's also a waste of
Yo.
valuable time. At this point, there's no
Why
denying
Charleston
we all
White?
just died, and we're 7 minutes and
I
5
don't know,
seconds
but
away
W.
from dying
Charleston
again in a
White,
massive pileup if we get on the highway. Now the friends don't remember anything, and I'm not wasting time trying to convince them. I'm turning the car around and
Fuck
getting
the
us to
homies,
safety.
bro. They gotta get
This
out of my
girl
car.
doesn't do that. She takes it to another level of intelligence
Right when
and
you said
tries to
that.
save everyone. And that kind of selflessness in a stressful situation shows
I would
high
have said,
level
nah,
thinking.
bro. Like, I literally just had a dream in real life, bro. Like, you gotta leave.
I
You gotta
say
get the,
it in real
you gotta
life.
get the fuck out my car, bro.
But there are
Like,
two
bro,
problems
fuck
with this
y'all.
so far. First, as long as you're still
Y'all
on the
gotta
road,
walk
you're
home.
not really safe. This is a death trap on steroids. So if it's gonna throw giant logs and exploding
On
cars at you, I
steroids.
would pull the handbrake,
Hey.
lock the car, and run to the
W
hills and
explained.
out
They
of
just
harm's
honked
way.
my
Run
mom's
to
car
Hollywood.
like
Stopping
Hills.
everyone from dying is actually the worst thing she could do. We'll find out why later, and she has no reason to suspect this, but if death had a plan for everyone, is it wise to intervene with so many people's destinies? The girl spots the logging truck
Destinies?
passing and yells at the cop to stop
Oh,
it.
that's
It's
like
too
they're gonna
late.
become
The strong
billionaires.
mayhem of death unfolds just like in her vision, except this time, they're watching from the sidelines. In a state of shock, she turns and sees the number 180 on a road sign and realizes this
They
too
got
isn't
tickets
a
to watch the
coincidence.
fucking
Just like
crash.
the survivors of the Flight 180 plane crash,
They got
he's hit to
tickets
death,
to
and
watch
now it's going to hunt her
Dude, that's
down
actually
too.
the
She's so
180
overwhelmed
was
she
how much
doesn't
we
notice a
paid
truck
just
headed
because they
straight
watched
for her.
it.
The cop pulls her out of danger.
Rather
and
than
her
spending
car
their-
crashed. That spring break is canceled. Okay, 180 is an important number because this isn't the first time it's shown up. It was seen as both a warning and a murder weapon to the previous survivors, so I would take this number seriously because wherever it shows up, people
fuck
start
that.
dying. It might seem superstitious, but there's enough evidence to support this. If it's in your face, it's probably a warning, and you should get the hell out. Later, all the survivors are taken to the police station, where the cop asks the girl how she predicted the accident, and she explains that she had a premonition, just like the kid who survived the plane crash a year ago. Everyone else is fed up with the
Not a year ago.
Why doesn't anyone
Girl's
realize that
dad
she
arrives to take
planned
her
it
home,
out?
and as they leave, the cop gives her this look like a small
This
part
shit
of her
planned it out.
She knew what was gonna happen because she planned the fucking attack. Are y'all stupid?
No!
No, bro, I'm not talking to you, bro. Are you good?
I'm talking to the demons.
The fuck, bro?
Alright, as a cop, he has resources that can help him, like blocking off potential death traps from the public,
W
or
reaction
nearby
so
backup
far,
to save
I
someone's
guess.
life based on her premonitions. I'd want to make sure I
haven't even been
until
recording.
he was completely convinced it was real. If we're gonna cheat death, we need all the help we can get. Later, one of the survivors comes back home.
An
He comes up
iMac!
and starts cooking dinner, but gets distracted by a wind blowing through the room, knocking an H into his noodles. Death is already trying to tell him how he's going to die. He pulls out some diamond-studded jewelry in the box, but the microwave starts to spark, and he drops his ring into the sink.
What
With
an
the finest
idiot.
way of intelligence, he sticks his hand into the hole and can't get it out, which is no surprise. Behind him, the skillet starts
What a
burning.
stupid-
He doesn't know what to do, so he slaps the flames with a claw,
What the
knocking
fuck?
the skillet to the floor and spreading the fire throughout his apartment. Okay, where do I begin with this guy? Beating out the flames with a cloth isn't panning out. Now, there's a mug here, and he's standing in front of a sink. The first instinct is to use this mug to douse the flames with water, but this would actually make it worse, because water and oil don't mix, and it would splash the grease, causing the fire to spread. Baking soda is the best solution, because it releases
Bro,
carbon
who
dioxide,
randomly has
which
fucking
suffocates the
baking
flames,
soda,
but there's
bro?
something about this guy that tells me he doesn't have any baking
Crackhead.
soda. His only option is to eliminate
Baking
oxygen.
soda is the way to go while your hand is stuck in a fucking, sink. Like, bro, what?
From the fire using a lid or a plate.
Unless if he's
Throw
a
it down,
crackhead.
it's not
Baking
ideal,
soda.
but it's better than doing this. He finally rips his hand out from the sink.
Yes.
It's time to bail, but the window suddenly shut. He smashes through and runs down the fire escape, nearly avoiding an explosion. He pulls the ladder down and lands on his feet. This guy really is
Bro,
lucky.
run!
He's just escaped death like 4 times in a row. But then he slips on the spaghetti
This
he
fucking
tossed out,
idiot.
and the ladder comes down straight through his eye. If
Ladder
only he
on
could see
fucking
the irony.
ass.
That night, all the survivors watch
Oh,
the report
you
about the
heard.
guy's death and get worried. The girl was right. Something bad was going to happen, and this cycle of death isn't
She planned
over.
it out, bro.
The
I
girl
don't know why y'all
decides to do
haven't.
some digging on that sole
I know,
survivor
yeah,
of
well,
Flight 180 and
idiots, but
discovers
she
that
planned
she
it out.
committed
She
herself
got the
to a
cars
mental
together.
institution. What happened to her?
It's a call.
The next day, she drives up to meet her, and this survivor
safe
woman
from
is
nothing.
not
I
taking
don't know.
any chances. She has the nurse tell all visitors to remove every sharp object before entering, and even makes them check their fingernails. The survivor explains that death will hunt them down according to the order they died in the premonition, but skip over anyone who gets saved, like Kimberly here did. But that doesn't make any sense to the girl. Her friends died last in her vision, so they shouldn't have died first afterwards.
I wouldn't be
Death
taking
is
advice
killing them
from
in
this
reverse
last
order.
person
The
from
loner girl
Final
doesn't want anything to
Destination
do with
1.
this and refuses to help. If
Hey,
it seems
bro,
like
I mean, I'm
death,
surprised
then
she's
also
still
she
alive,
trap
but-
herself
I
in
know,
prison.
bro. Why does she
Paranoid.
randomly dye
Okay,
her
apart
hair,
from
bro?
being
Like,
a
what
total
the fuck?
shut-in, admitting yourself to an institution is a
I
great
don't,
idea.
bro, she
It's
just
got
got chased by
cells,
death. She's like,
3 square meals, and
yeah,
it takes as
oh,
much
no,
risk
no,
out
no,
of
she
living
did
as
that.
possible.
Yeah, I forgot she did that
But this
between
costs
the
with average admission
fucking-
prices being as much as $10,000 for a 2-week stay. With that kind
And
of
when
money,
they're
you could
there
get
at the
death-proof
end,
your own
she has
house.
her hair
Here's
like
how.
that.
A death-proof bunker first needs to be
Bro, who
situated.
randomly has a fucking death-proof bunker, bro?
Bro, we're in like fucking hillbillies from the 1980s.
For real, bro. Like, this isn't Vietnam.
It protects from weather, falling objects, electricity, and much
Bro,
more.
we might as well
It
play
needs sealable
fucking Fortunate
entrances
Son
like
at the
solution so
intro.
that any risk can be closed off
Facts.
if death finds a way in. The walls need to be lined with steel and concrete. to
Yeah,
protect
facts,
from
bro. Somebody
explosions.
has
I
that,
place
the
all
money to do
electronics
that.
behind tempered glass. and
Everybody
they
has
must be
that.
remotely operated, including video monitors with CCTV
You know we work
showing
at,
all your different activity,
Onions,
as well as your
people.
food preparation.
Okay.
Everything must be padded, and no fire or sharp
just
objects
said
or
that.
flammable gases are permitted within 10 meters. It's basically Magneto's prison cell, but instead of blocking metal, it's blocking death. When the girl gets
Wow.
Damn it, bro.
back home,
Hold up.
the cop is there and invites her to a meeting at his place with the other survivors. He's done research about Flight 180 and the freak deaths, and now he's more convinced than ever that they all need to work together to beat this thing. But she suddenly sees a swarm of pigeons flying in the glass door's reflection and realizes this is a sign. This kid and his mother are next on death's list, and they're going to be killed by a flock of birds. This should be interesting. At the orthodontist's office, this kid gets seated in the dentist's chair, and seriously, danger is absolutely
Okay.
everywhere. All these canisters full of gases that could poison him, this
Okay.
massive needle full of anesthesia, or these power tools that could rip his
Well, I
mouth
was
into
checking if
bloody
you were still
chunks.
alive.
Now, real talk, I have to be practically kidnapped to go to the dentist. So if there's talk of death hunting me down, I'm not going within 10 miles of a dentist's office.
Watching this,
Stay the
yeah.
fuck away. This is all
just
part of
watching.
Death's elaborate plan, and
What?
it starts with this little fish. The suction causes the aquarium's pipe to leak, and the water sprays out onto a power outlet. It heads for the mother, but pigeons start crashing into the windows, and she gets up to see what's going on. The noise interrupts the dentist, who goes to check out the ruckus, but when the outlet starts sparking, the oxygen tank shuts off, and the kid starts feeling the effects of pure nitrous oxide.
What's crazy is I have a
Fish
dentist
falls
appointment
into his
soon.
mouth, and he's too gassed up to remove it and begins to suffocate.
Ew.
Luckily, the assistant finds him just in time to pull it out, looking confused as ever. He got lucky here, but it's not over yet. Leaving the office, they see the cop and the girl running towards them, but it's too late. The kid sees a flock of pigeons and chases
What a
them. The
retard.
birds startle a crane operator, who bumps his controls,
Oh, it's probably high on the
and
mic
glass
first,
falling to the ground,
just keep it
squishing
up.
the kid into
Who
mush.
just randomly
Alright, this is tragic, but it was
chases
also entirely
pigeons, bro?
preventable because this guy was supposed to save his life. This glass pane was falling from a height of about 10 floors, as we can see it from the dentist's office. That's roughly 35 meters high, and with the acceleration of gravity at 9.8 meters per second, he had about 3 seconds before he hit the ground. It's not much, but he's so close that there was time to push this kid out of the way. I wouldn't do it, but somebody should have. 2 deaths now. It feels like there's nothing she can do. That's when the loner girl appears, finally brave enough to step outside after a year of hiding. She wants to help, but death
I wouldn't accept help
There's
from
only
this
one
girl,
man
bro.
who can tell them what they need to know. She takes them to a funeral home to
Give
meet
me your
a new
reasons.
acquaintance, the mortician,
Facts.
the man who first told the loner girl about death.
I would've said, "Who even are
back
you?"
Looking for a way to beat death once again.
Who even are
She
you?
tells them only new life can truly
Like,
beat
who
death.
are you?
Like,
They
bro,
bring someone into
I'm
the
not
world
gonna
that
trust
wasn't
you
meant to
after
be,
you
and
claim
this
you're
will force
insane, but then dye your hair, bro. Like, what?
death is start anew, and he warns the girl to follow the signs.
Fuck.
Okay,
Fuck all
we
that,
have a
bro.
new rule, and this one is great. If new life beats death, then these women need to have a baby to keep them alive. Now, I'm not advocating for a survivor orgy here, but if they value their lives, they better find a
Marvin
partner and
Swing
get
was
busy.
good.
Because if they can avoid death for 9 months, then they'll be free from death's curse and be able to
What the
live through a
hell? They
different
want
kind
them
of
to have a
curse,
threesome?
parenting. The group stops at a gas station, and the loner girl gets
By me.
pissed off, confronting a kid smoking near the pumps. This idiot is putting everyone's lives at risk.
Oh,
Except, what are they even doing here? If my life is at risk everywhere I turn, this is easily one of the worst places to be. They're literally standing above 20,000
How do you randomly
gallons.
drop a
This is easily one
propane
of the
tank,
worst
bro?
places
What the
to be.
fuck is this
They're
dude
literally
doing?
standing above 20,000
I
gallons
don't
of
know.
gas.
So-
These places have a lot of safety features to prevent the worst. But I'm not putting this past death to find a way of making this
I do not feel comfortable around propane tanks, bro.
all below the kingdom come. If we needed gas, I'm hiring someone to take the car and fill it up for me. And this guy can smoke all he wants because I won't even be there. But then this girl suddenly has a vision of her crashing a white van into a lake and drowning. That detail reminds the cop of the pregnant woman who was driving a white delivery van on the day of the premonition. From what the mortician told them, they realized
bro.
if they get birth, they might be able to disrupt Death's design. They start over with a clean slate. Putting out an APB, he's able to figure out who she is, and hopefully, she'll be caught by the time they're done with their meeting. Later that night, all the survivors meet up at the cop's apartment. Now, if it's me, I'm not letting anyone out of my sight. If someone dies, another will be next until it gets
Yeah.
and I'm not taking any chances.
I would
Personally,
gap
I'd try
out.
locking everyone down in the safest environment possible for 9 months if I have to, but I imagine this idea won't be popular among the group, so communication is the next best thing. Having a death cheaters hotline for any warnings or premonitions could go a long way in delaying my death and everyone else's. But even with all this evidence, the motorcyclist calls BS. He doesn't believe any of this and wants to leave. Grabbing his coat, he drops his keys and it launches the ball into the air.
Bro,
hitting
how
one
are the
side to
chances,
kayak,
bro?
swinging
Like, what
into
the
loner
hell?
girl. She dodges out of the way at the last
Bro, you're
moment,
getting chased
but she
by
should have seen
death.
this
That's
coming.
what
Death
are the
has been
chances?
wanting her dead for a long time. We would be missing all
Bro,
these
imagine being
signs
chased by death while stoned as hell.
if it wasn't for her. And we need to keep her alive
Bro.
because she's essential to our
That's
survival.
tough.
The group will improve their
No.
chances if they pair up,
Bro,
sleep in
imagine you
shifts,
just, like,
and
hide
take down
shit
every
and
loose
then
end in the room.
randomly,
Now,
like,
sleeping
fucking-
is when you're at your most vulnerable, but 24 hours
Get
without it
fucking
results in a
outside.
full 10-point drop in your
Or
IQ.
keys or
I'm gonna
you.
need those 10 points if I'm evading death traps. Meanwhile, the cops' plan to find the pregnant woman has paid off. He made sure she was going to be on lockdown to keep her safe and reported her van as stolen, so she's going to jail for Grand Theft Auto. It's a ridiculous plan, but effective. The stoner
GTA
makes a mess
5.
in the closet and notices something weird about these shadows. They look like a man with hooks. It's a sign. In the elevator, a man is
Oh my
holding a
God,
basket of
it's a
prosthetic
sign.
arms with hooks. Her phone rings as she drops it, but when she picks it up to answer, her hair gets
That's a
caught in
freaking
hook.
walkie-talkie,
When they reach the
not a
lobby,
phone.
She tries to run out, but her
Nah,
neck
play.
gets caught
Or
in
like-
between the
or
doors.
those
No matter
1990
how hard these two men try, they can't pull it open, and the elevator begins to ascend, taking the poor woman.
Ah,
Oh,
that's
no.
actually
The
tough, bro.
workaholic here and the loner girl spot her and try to help her as much as they
Bro,
can.
imagine you're
But
so
how
much
did it-
fucking happy.
How didn't the elevator door crush her neck, bro? Like what?
Finally crush
That's
her
what it
neck
is.
and
That's what
sever
it
her
is.
head clean off. Okay, once you're stuck like this, there's not a lot you can do, and pressing buttons or panicking won't be enough to counter
You could
Death's
literally
plan
open
here.
it.
Now the door's opening is too narrow to pull apart with enough
That's what
force and
they tried
leverage,
doing.
so I
I
would
seen
try
the
using the
movie.
prosthetic arms to wedge between the door to pry it open. The average difference in width between your neck and your head is 7 centimeters, so it might give just enough for her head to pass through. The motorcyclist
Bro, there was one time I accidentally went into an elevator that wasn't working or some shit, and I pulled the doors open. That shit was scary, bro.
He's running back into the apartment.
Bro,
After
I
staring
pulled the
Death in
doors
face,
open.
he's now a born-again believer. He
That was
steals the cop's
easy.
gun and puts it to his head,
They could
planning
have
to die
pulled
in
the
his own
doors
terms.
open. What the
But no matter
fuck?
how many times he tries, it won't fire. With 6 perfect bullets in the chamber,
Oh,
these are
I don't know
impossible
what
odds.
this is.
It means it wasn't his turn to die. Okay, if you thought things were hopeless, this should put the nail in the coffin, because it won't even let us kill ourselves. It has complete power over us. But if
Jump
things got
off the
desperate and we
roof.
decided enough was enough, how would we end it? Death can play with mechanics, but it doesn't change the laws of physics. A jump from a bridge would kill you, but maybe a gust of wind or a bird distracts you on the jump and your clothes get caught on a nail. Don't underestimate this thing. So I would go where only I can control my life, breath by breath, and that is underwater. Death wouldn't be able to intervene by magically giving you oxygen. I hope it would never come to this, but the ultimate escape is to tie a brick around the ankle, and it's a bon voyage. Stuck in jail, the woman tries to convince the officer to let her go, but the man won't budge. That's when her water breaks and the dude is panicking. She demands to be taken to a hospital, and he's not going to win this argument. In the car, the group learns that every single one of them has actually cheated Death once before, and they're all connected to the survivors of Flight 180. The motorcyclist could have been
fucked.
killed by a student who had to transfer to Mount Abraham after a teacher died in an explosion. The cop would have
That's
died
why I
in a
can't watch
shootout
these
if he hadn't been
movies,
called
bro.
away to check up on a train wreck.
Why?
and a kid
Why
got his
can't you
head
watch
chopped
these
off.
movies?
Bro, it
The
gets
driver
me
was
mad
blustered.
paranoid,
It could have
bro.
led to her death,
The
but
fuck?
on the way there,
Dang,
the
no.
bus ran over a girl. The stoner would have died in a collapsed building if he hadn't been distracted
The
by the
stoner?
giant getting crushed by a falling sign. And the girl would have died in a carjacking if she hadn't watched a news report about a kid who hung himself. Okay, this literally changes everything we know about Death's design. When we cheat Death, it's not just affecting us, it's affecting everyone we encounter by proxy through the butterfly effect. This basically creates a global pandemic of freak accidents because it's changing the course of history in real time. So I would actually consider helping make sure Death gets its kills the way he originally planned. We should have moved the car off the road and let everyone pass, right into the afterlife. Because it limits the butterfly effect of Death playing catch up, and therefore, it literally kills less people. Meanwhile, the pregnant woman and the officer are headed to the hospital and straight into the other survivors. One of the wheels blows out and the two cars luckily avoid running into each other, but sends them off-road and right into danger. They crash through a pile of hay bales, knocking over a fence and reversing into these pipes that almost go through the driver's head. She's lucky to be alive, but the motorcyclist has been impaled. He can't breathe, and the driver's leg is trapped beneath a log. Just a side note, none of these people should be driving at all. Road accidents are far more
Facts.
likely than any one of these deaths.
I know, like,
over 1 million
bro,
people are
the
killed
what
in
the
car accidents
car
in
like
the
somehow
US
I don't know,
every
some of
week,
this
while
makes
bicycles
the car
are less
can blow
likely
up
to get you
and
killed or run
like-
over, at only 2% of
No,
vehicle
but-
deaths. So this dramatically cuts down the risk in traveling. It won't solve everything, but it's definitely an improvement. Seeing the accident, the other cop wants to help, but the pregnant woman stops him. Her baby is more important. He calls in emergency services for them and bails. The police finally arrive on the scene and the motorcyclist is taken into an ambulance. Clear Hair tells them to be careful of anything that could be dangerous or go wrong. Faulty gauges, overdoses, potholes, puddles. Man, she thinks of everything. A news van comes speeding to the accident site and almost hits this kid. It's only
Damn,
thanks to the
bro.
stoner pulling him out of the way that he survived. It's all a part of Death's next trap. The news van backs up into some rocks, puncturing its fuel tank, and begins leaking gasoline that spills its way through a broken pipe. The firefighters begin to break open the car door, but trigger the airbags, which throw the woman's head straight into a broken pipe. Okay, they shouldn't be this surprised. Everyone left to inside, even when they knew who was next in Death's kill order. I would have at least cut the sharp pole that's sticking out of her headrest before anything else could go wrong. They're being way too casual about all the dangers they're exposed to. Her dead hand drops the cigarette, and a strong breeze sends it rolling into a pipe and lighting the trail of gasoline, and the van
Bro.
explodes, hurling a barbed wire fence post through the
Bro.
stoner's body, cutting him in half.
Bro, what in
Meanwhile,
the,
lying
like-
in a hospital bed, the motorcyclist listens to a news report about the driver dying and realizes
Butterfly
he's
is,
next.
yeah.
The doors suddenly slam shut, the ventilation
shit.
closes, and the tubes to the oxygen tank break. He can see it all happening, but he's too weak to escape. The group finally arrives at the hospital and split up, the loner girl going to find the motorcyclist while the other two look for the pregnant woman. After a dramatic labor, the baby is born, and they all celebrate. But I'm not believing
Bro,
a second of it, because death doesn't give up. The baby is born,
That's
and they
a
all
huge
celebrate.
fucking
But
baby,
I'm not
bro.
believing
What the
a second of it, because death doesn't give up this easily. Kimberly
The
hears another
dynamite
vision of
light.
the accident and realizes the pregnant woman was never supposed to die in the pileup. But what does that mean for her premonition about the lake? She remembers someone with bloody hands was driving the car. The loner girl goes to find the motorcyclist, and just before she opens the door, Kimberly over here has a horrible realization. Just as the death trap in the motorcyclist's room goes off, the life support cord gets yanked out, igniting the trapped gas and causes a massive explosion that takes out the
Bro,
motorcyclist
this fucking
and the
movie
loner girl.
makes me think about all the kinds of shit that I could fucking die from, bro. That's why I don't watch
Like-
it. Like, fuck,
Bro, this
bro.
is why,
Blaze,
we haven't reacted.
Blaze, how
This
do
is why
you
we haven't
watch this
reacted.
so much, bro? Like,
I don't know, bro. You
Like,
don't think
final-
I think about it too.
like they're good movies, but like, fuck, bro. It makes me really think about shit like that.
How do you
I know, that's what I'm saying.
And bro, I'm fucking
I
stoned,
have to
bro.
admit,
Fuck.
I did not see that coming.
Bro, I'm higher
Girl
than
sees that
Elon
That's the
Musk and I
ultimate
watch his
tough,
movies.
bro.
realizes the premonitions are about her. It's all happening just like in her vision, including a white van parking outside
Dun,
the hospital.
dun, dun,
She
bro.
spots a newspaper clipping about a drowning victim who got a new life after surviving and realizes she has to die to
Scary.
save them and tells the cop to get the doctor. She jumps into the van and accelerates into the nearby lake. The cop runs after her and dives in to help her, but he can't open the door and she blacks out. She wakes up in the hospital as the doctor resuscitates her. She didn't die, which means she's cheated death again, and this time for good. Okay, this risky little experiment was totally worth it, because now any and all survivors can follow in her footsteps. I'd use the defibrillators to end it, and have a friend shock me back, like the Flatliners did. Later, the two of them have lunch with her dad, along with another family, and they find out this kid over here was the one who almost got hit by the news van. His parents note it was a miracle he didn't die, and the two survivors have a sudden realization and see the kid get blown up by the barbecue. They might have
Allah
avoided
Akbar.
death, but it's still hungry for more souls. But what do you think?
Osama?
How would you beat Death's design? Let me know.
Osama.
Bro, like y'all can't even lie, bro. He might be behind all the deaths.